that's about it from there. And there's the title of my next book, Passing for Human. Which, it is, it really is. There is that aspect of being a cyborg transy pretend academic where
sometimes it helps, you know.
Yeah, we try. If we can't pass for anything else, we can try to pass for human. It's a lot harder to fail, anyway. Once a year, every year, at the end of September, there is a day called Brigadoon Day, which is the day that all of the old virtual communities, the ones that have gone under, that are defunct, no longer exist, all of the old virtual communities rise again from the mists of time at dawn and reestablish their internet numbers, and the servers come whirring to life. The actual servers are usually preserved from year to year. And then all the people who are members of those communities from previous times can log back in. And for one incredible day, all of those old communities live again. They're all textual because Brigadoon Day started before there were any graphic-based communities. And friendships are renewed, and questions are asked and answered, and theory is put out and hashed over, and sex is had, and then as the sun sinks beneath the horizon in each time zone, these virtual communities once again sink back into the mists of time and are taken offline until the following year on the same day. I believe the day is September 22nd, but it varies from year to year.
So this has nothing to do with the mystical Irish island?
Well, it's named after the
Scottish,
mystical Irish Scottish island, which also rises once every so often. Yeah, that's how it got its name.
So speaking of passing and finding the pump, do you think, given what you've been talking about as gender as performance, and what we were also talking about in terms of the increasing crossing of gender lines, which I see as increasing historically because I do think that it's more now than it ever has been in terms of at large in society, and it's become more of an option to people with less money than it ever has before. Do you foresee a day when maybe in schools, it was fascinating when you were talking about teaching, transies learning the gestures and the attitudes of the other sex, and if there might be a point where we would teach, how to act more male or how to act more female in order to help people navigate social situations, or a new kind of grammar, a new kind of gender politics, where we would learn manners based on that.
Well, I think we do that already in various ways. I mean, if boys aren't macho enough, they take remedial sports. And of course, part of sports is learning masculine language, gesture language, and so forth. So, although a specific school for that purpose might be very interesting. In The Empire Strikes Back, I mentioned that there used to be, associated with gender reassignment programs, there used to be what they called charm schools, where they taught male to female transies how to perform women, or how to perform woman with a capital W. And that fell into disfavor after a while because it was felt to be oppressive, and they stopped. So of course it went on the same way it usually goes on, which is covertly in society. But what do you think would be accomplished by having a school like that? Teaching people to perform gender better?
I'm interested actually in the other direction.
Teaching them to unperform.
Well, no, or teaching, if we're saying that the male gender is the one that tends to have more power or phallicness or whatever we want to talk about, in terms of empowering people or teaching people to not go towards the woman, which goes back to my question from earlier. Why is there this interest in performing the female, which seems to me much more interest than in performing male? And I'm very curious about where power is perceived to lie, and why people would choose a direction away from that or towards what they're going and what are they going away from. And so I just think it's curious, the rules of the gender politics, basically.
When I've taught acting, it's one of the common acting exercises that takes place and that I've had to go through many times, and where we take the whole play and all the girls play all the roles as boys, even if they're girl parts, and vice versa. And it's just to get you, a different way of looking at your character. But often what takes place is that the boys tend to go way overboard and become super effeminate and very dainty and delicate, and girls tend to go way overboard where we become these macho Neanderthal men, and it's kind of like, where do you find the balance?
I don't know how much this whole that men cross the boundaries more than women try to adopt masculinity. I think that it's accepted for women to adopt masculinity. I don't think that women do it less. I think that women do it the same amount. I think that it's pretty equal. Just one is socially stigmatized. Now, I'm not talking about transsexualism here, but I'm talking about, cross-dressing behavior or what have you. We really aren't socially, it's in vogue. Literally, the magazine, women in suits, women in,
Well, they're in suits, but they're not proto-male. There's a difference between taking some of the tokens of
I have shorts.
It still makes me something.
Oh, so we have a script going on this side of the table. Camera up, camera. I'm sorry.
No, I think it's very curious. But for example, for me, physical fitness is very important, physical strength. I've always wanted to be strong, and stronger than males has been specifically an important, ever since I was a little girl, because it seemed so ridiculous to me that masculine meant being strong physically. And that couldn't be. When I was a child, that's how it was perceived to me.
An important point which is never brought up in this, which is that his parents always felt guilty. The thing which is left out of the book is what were the unconscious messages that were being sent by the parents. That's never mentioned. John Money is, among other things, has worked most of his life to try to clarify the puzzle of gender and to try to resolve a lot of the thorny issues that have plagued the medical profession about children that are born with ambiguous genitalia, and to find a way to resolve it in the most human way, most humanistic way possible. The fact that he's being attacked in a book which is rabidly essentialist is an extremely troubling and problematic thing that tends to make me want to look at the agendas behind the publication of this book.